Let me ask you a question. How many times have you told yourself, this is it? I'm going to change my life. Maybe it was getting fit, maybe starting that side hustle, maybe saving money, maybe learning a new skill. And for a few days, you were on fire. Motivation was pumping through your veins. You felt unstoppable until you weren't. 2 weeks later, life happened. The spark burned out. And you're left staring at the same old habits, frustrated, asking yourself, why can't I stay consistent? The answer is simple but powerful. You are relying on motivation. And motivation is a terrible long-term strategy. Motivation is like a spark. It lights the fire, but it doesn't keep the fire burning. What keeps the fire burning is discipline. Now, when I say discipline, I don't mean punishment. I don't mean rules and restrictions. I mean this. Discipline is keeping the promise you made to yourself long after the mood you made it in has left you. That's what separates the people who dream about success from the people who live it. And in this video, I'm going to show you why discipline is not only the key to success, but also the hidden multiplier that most people overlook. Because discipline doesn't stop with one habit. No, discipline spreads. One discipline leads to another and another until it transforms your entire life. By the end, I'll share 3 powerful real-world examples, a step-by-step way to build your own discipline chain reaction, and how to protect your momentum once you've built it. So stick with me, because what you're about to learn could change everything. Let's start with this. What exactly is discipline? Most people hear the word and immediately think of restrictions, rules, or even punishment. Maybe you flash back to a strict teacher or a parent saying, be disciplined. But that's not the discipline I'm talking about. Discipline isn't about punishment. It's about freedom. Think about it. When you're disciplined with your finances, you don't live paycheck to paycheck. You have financial freedom. When you're disciplined with your health, you don't worry about energy crashes or medical issues. You have freedom to live with confidence. When you're disciplined with your time, you're not overwhelmed by chaos. You're free to actually enjoy your life. Discipline is the act of doing today what your future self will thank you for tomorrow. And here's the key. Discipline builds self-trust. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, whether it's going for that run, finishing that project, or even making your bed, you're teaching yourself, I can count on me. And let me ask you this. If you can trust yourself to do what you said you'd do, who can you trust? See, confidence isn't built by hyping yourself up in the mirror. Confidence comes from discipline. Confidence is the quiet voice inside that says, I know I'll follow through, because I've proven it to myself 100 times. Now here's where it gets interesting. Discipline isn't just about the action itself. It's about the hidden chain reaction it sets off. Because once you master discipline in one area, it spills over into others. And this is the part that most people miss. One discipline doesn't stay alone. One discipline wants company. In a minute, I'm going to show you how the discipline of something as small as making your bed can lead to career success, and how the discipline of walking around the block can lead to a completely new lifestyle. But first, let's look at why discipline multiplies. Why does one habit always seem to pull in another? Here's where things get powerful. Discipline doesn't just stay in one box. It doesn't live in isolation. One act of discipline almost always creates momentum that flows into other areas of your life. I like to call this the domino effect of discipline. Think about dominoes lined up in a row. You tap one, and the rest start to fall. That's exactly how discipline works. You decide to wake up early to work out. At first, it's hard. You fight the alarm clock. But after a few days, something happens. Because you woke up early, you go to bed earlier. Because you worked out, you start craving healthier food. Because you eat healthier, your energy improves. With more energy, you're more focused at work. More focus leads to better results, which builds confidence. That's the domino effect. It's never just about the first habit. It's about where that habit leads you. And here's the thing most people overlook. Discipline loves company. When you succeed in one area, Your brain doesn't want to stop there. It begins to expect more from you. You start to raise your standards. That's why someone who disciplines themselves to keep a clean home often becomes more disciplined in their career. Or why someone who starts exercising often naturally begins eating better, even if they never made a plan to. One domino tips into the next, and before long, your entire life starts shifting. Let's make this real with an example. Imagine you decide you're going to get in shape. Not a vague, "I'll try to work out sometimes," but a real commitment. You say to yourself, "For the next 30 days, I'm going to the gym 5 days a week. No excuses." Day 1, brutal. You're sore, you're tired, your brain is screaming, "Why are you doing this?" Day 2, still tough. But by the end of week 1, you start to notice something. Your energy is a little higher. Your mood is a little better. By week 2, you catch yourself making different food choices. Instead of grabbing fast food, you think, "I just worked out hard. I don't want to undo it." That's discipline in eating. By week 3, you're sleeping earlier because your body wants recovery. That's discipline in rest. By the end of the month, not only are you fitter, you've become more disciplined across multiple areas of your life. You didn't just gain muscle, you gained self-control. And the people around you notice. They see the difference in your energy, your focus, even the way you carry yourself. That creates social momentum. Suddenly people respect your commitment. That respect fuels even more motivation to keep going. Now here's the beautiful part. Once you've proven to yourself that you can stay disciplined in fitness, your brain starts asking, "Where else can I apply this?" And maybe you start managing your money better. Maybe you get more disciplined in your studies. Maybe you finally start the side business you've been putting off. All of that from one simple commitment, showing up to exercise. That's the domino effect. Quick question for you. What's one small discipline you've been thinking about starting? Drop it in the comments. Because here's the truth. No matter how small it seems, that one act of discipline could be the first domino in a chain reaction that changes your entire life. And in the next section, I'm going to show you how something as ordinary as making your bed can completely transform your career. Now, let's take an even simpler example. Let's say you start with the discipline of making your bed every morning. Sounds small, right? Almost laughable. But let me show you why it's powerful. When you wake up and make your bed, you're doing 3 things. You're starting the day with an achievement. That sends a signal to your brain. I finish what I start. You're creating order out of chaos. That sets the tone for how you approach the rest of your day. You're building momentum. You accomplished one task, so now you're more likely to tackle the next one. Now, here's where it gets interesting. People who start with this tiny habit often find themselves cleaning up their space more often. A tidy room leads to a tidy desk. A tidy desk leads to better focus at work. Better focus leads to hitting deadlines, impressing your boss or clients, and creating career opportunities. All of that from making your bed. It's not about the bed. It's about who you become when you keep even the smallest promise to yourself. That small act of discipline bleeds into everything else. Think about it. If you walk into a cluttered room, how do you feel? Probably scattered, unfocused, maybe even a little stressed. Now compare that to walking into a clean, organized space. You feel calmer, more capable, more in control. That's the ripple effect of discipline. And it doesn't stop at your home. It travels with you into your work, your relationships, your finances. One small discipline, done daily, can change the trajectory of your career. And it all starts with something as simple as tucking in the sheets. Now let's look at another area where discipline changes everything. Learning. Imagine you've always wanted to learn a new skill, let's say guitar. You've had it in the back of your mind for years, but you've never been consistent. You pick it up once in a while, strum a few chords, then let it collect dust for months. Here's the problem. Without discipline, you never build momentum. And without momentum, learning feels frustratingly slow. But let's flip the script. You decide to commit. For the next 30 days, I'll practice guitar for 1 hour every day. At first, your fingers hurt. You're clumsy. You feel like you'll never get it. But after a week, something clicks. You can move between chords more easily. After 2 weeks, you're playing full songs. After a month, people actually recognize what you're playing. And here's what happens next. That discipline of practice starts to bleed into other areas. You realize you're more patient at work because you've trained yourself to practice through mistakes. You become more disciplined with your schedule because you have to carve out time daily to practice. You start applying that same persistence to other goals, maybe studying for a certification, maybe writing, maybe building a side business. Learning one skill through discipline teaches you how to learn anything. And once you've built that identity, I am someone who sticks with things, you carry it everywhere. Here's the key. It's not just about learning guitar. It's about who you become through the discipline of learning. And that's the hidden benefit. The discipline of one area, fitness, organization, learning, never stays contained. It expands. It multiplies. It creates a chain reaction that touches every part of your life. So now you've seen it in action. Fitness discipline leads to health, energy, and confidence. Organization discipline leads to focus, clarity, and career growth. Learning discipline leads to persistence, patience, and opportunity. But you might be wondering, why does this happen? Why does one discipline always seem to spark another? In the next part, I'm going to show you the science behind discipline, how habits rewire your brain, why discipline compounds like interest, and how building self-identity through discipline makes you unstoppable. Okay, so by now you've seen how one small act of discipline can spark a chain reaction across your life. But let's ask the deeper question. Why does this happen? It's not just coincidence. There's real psychology and neuroscience at play. First, let's talk about habit loops. Every habit we build follows the same pattern. Cue, routine, reward. Cue, you wake up in the morning. Routine, you make your bed. Reward, you feel a small sense of order and accomplishment. That reward, however tiny, releases dopamine in your brain. And dopamine is the chemical that teaches your brain, hey, this feels good, let's do it again. The more you repeat a disciplined action, the stronger that neural pathway becomes. It's like carving a groove into your brain. At first it's shallow and takes effort, but over time it gets deeper, smoother, and eventually automatic. Now here's where it gets fascinating. When you build discipline in one area, the wiring doesn't stay neatly locked in that box. Your brain starts applying that same pattern to other areas. That's why going to the gym can also make you more productive at work. You're training the muscle of discipline, and once it's stronger, you use it everywhere, but it goes even deeper. The real power of discipline comes when it shifts your identity. See, most people think discipline is about forcing yourself to do something. But the strongest form of discipline isn't willpower, it's identity. When you run every day, you stop saying, I'm trying to run. You start saying, I'm a runner. When you write every day, you stop saying, I'm trying to write. You start saying, I'm a writer. When you keep promises to yourself consistently, you stop saying, I'm trying to be disciplined. You start saying, I am disciplined. That identity shift is everything, because once you believe it's who you are, your actions follow automatically. Think about it. A smoker trying to quit who says, I'm trying to quit, is fighting themselves. A smoker who says, I don't smoke has already shifted their identity. So when you start small, making your bed, walking a block, practicing for 10 minutes, you're not just doing the action. You're voting for a new identity. An identity is sticky. Once you become the kind of person who's disciplined in one area, your brain naturally looks for other areas to align with that identity. Finally, let's talk about compounding. Discipline is like compound interest. On day 1, it doesn't look like much. You run a mile, you save 10, you read 10 pages, not life-changing. But stack those actions over weeks, months, years, the growth is exponential. Run a mile a day for a year, that's 365 miles. Save $10 a day for a year, that's $3,650 not counting interest. Read 10 pages a day, that's 3,650 pages a year, or roughly 15 books. And here's the kicker. Each of those small disciplines doesn't just add up, they multiply. Running gives you health, which gives you energy, which makes you more productive, which improves your career, which reduces stress, which improves your relationships. That's the true compounding of discipline. It's not just about stacking habits, it's about stacking the benefits that spill into every corner of your life. So here's what we know. Discipline rewires your brain through habit loops. It reshapes your identity, and it compounds like interest. But you might be thinking, okay, I get it. Discipline matters. But how do I actually start building it in my own life without burning out? That's exactly what I'm going to show you next. A simple step-by-step plan to create your own discipline chain reaction. All right, you've seen the examples, you've heard the science. Now let's get practical. How do you actually build this discipline chain reaction for yourself? Let me give you a simple 3-step framework that works every time. Step 1. Start small, but daily. Discipline isn't about doing something massive once. It's about doing something small, consistently. Pick one tiny habit you can commit to every single day, no matter what. Make your bed. Drink a glass of water in the morning. Do 10 push-ups. Walk around the block. Write 1 paragraph. Here's the key. It doesn't matter how small it is. What matters is that you keep the promise to yourself. Because remember, every act of discipline is a vote for your identity. You're not just making your bed, you're becoming the kind of person who finishes what they start. Step 2. Anchor and stack your wins. Once you've nailed one discipline, stack another onto it. His is called habit stacking. You take something you already do, and you anchor a new discipline to it. For example, after I brush my teeth, I'll write down 3 things I'm grateful for. After I put on my gym shoes, I'll walk for 10 minutes. After I pour my morning coffee, I'll read 2 pages of a book. Why does this work? Because your brain loves patterns. When you connect one habit to another, it becomes automatic. And here's the bonus. Each time you stack a win, you feel momentum building. That momentum makes discipline feel less like willpower and more like identity. Step 3. Protect momentum. At all costs. Now here's the warning. Discipline is powerful but fragile. The easiest way to kill momentum is to stop completely. Skip one day. That's fine. Life happens. But skip 2, 3, 4 days, you're slamming the brakes on the car you worked so hard to get moving. So here's the rule. Never miss twice. You forget to work out today? Fine. Just don't miss tomorrow. You didn't make your bed this morning? Fine. Do it tonight before bed. Discipline isn't about perfection. It's about persistence. Protect your momentum like your success depends on it, because it does. So let's bring it all together. Discipline is the key to success, not motivation, not talent, not luck. It's the quiet force that turns small actions into massive results. But the hidden benefit? One discipline always leads to another. Exercise leads to better food choices. Making your bed leads to a cleaner, more focused environment. Daily practice leads to patience, persistence, and opportunity. Discipline multiplies. It compounds. And the person you become through discipline is unstoppable. So here's my challenge to you. What is one small discipline you can start today? Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Drop it in the comments. I want to hear what you're committing to. And if this video gave you clarity, do me a favor. Hit like to support the channel. Comment your first discipline. Subscribe for weekly strategies on mindset, growth, and success. Because here's the truth. Motivation fades, talent only takes you so far. But discipline will carry you all the way. Remember this, discipline doesn't just change what you do, it changes who you are. So get out there, start small, stay consistent, and watch how one discipline transforms your entire life.